You were remarkably similar to Dylan as I look at the parallels. You were also 19 years old. You were also living in a house with 5 sorority sisters. What did you think when you heard about this case? Could you put yourself in Dylan's shoes?
Right away. And the more that evidence came out and the story came out, it just became chillingly eerie how similar it was.
Did the circumstance that I just sort of outlined make sense to you, given that you heard some unusual noise and chalked it up to, it's just the roommates. This is a normal house in a normal town in a normal life. And there's Dylan seeing a guy walk through the house. Maybe it was the DoorDash driver. I mean, yuck, but murder?
A little bit. Also, I was boosted up through a window that the attacker had broken in. So it wasn't that I was home when he attacked and when he broke in. But so there are similarities. I didn't see the attacker. I just know that when I found my housemate the next morning, I didn't see any blood in the room. All I saw was liquid. I was trying to find a pulse and shake her. And when I called 911, just saying that my housemate choked on her vomit and I can't wake her up and she's unconscious. When the paramedics arrived, I was standing behind a paramedic and he announced, "Holy, look at all of this blood." And in that second that he said blood, the whole entire room filled. So I know that the mind does very tricky things when it is trying to keep you safe and keep you functioning and keep you in fight or flight, because that is the mechanism of the mind. So that is why I really empathize with what Dylan went through. We don't know the story. We don't know her history.
Yeah, explain that a little more for me. What happened that morning when you woke up? I'm just assuming you think it's a normal morning. You're knocking on your roommate's door. Take me from there.
Well, I came in through the window and the screen was out, so that was a little bizarre. And I went to my housemate, the only other housemate that came home that night. There was 4 of us on that floor and 2 didn't come home that night, so I was the only one that came home. I went to her door, which was ajar, and I heard heavy breathing, and so I thought, oh, okay. I called her name, she didn't respond, so I just went to bed. And my room was in the front of the house, was a converted old Buffalo home, which used to be the patio. So since this attacker came through the window, he assumed that was the exit. I'm in bed, just about to go to sleep, very intoxicated, and someone walks into my room, and I lift up my head, and no one was there. And 10 seconds later, the front door closed. Now, no one came home, so we know that's when he left. So that fear and that panic to this day stirs me. I didn't sleep really for a year after this experience, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw someone chasing me and the guilt and, oh, what if I had called 911 sooner? So when then the reality of what had happened the next day occurred, the pieces just start coming together. Investigators start coming in. You're trying to figure out what happened. So I can really empathize really a lot with Dylan and what she went through.
If there was something that you could tell Dylan, and for that matter, Bethany Funk as well, because she was also there that next morning. If you could say something to those girls, what would you say?
What I would say is, what you resist will persist. And I wish that I had dealt and processed this sooner back then. I've said this on a couple other shows that this was a different age. No one came to my rescue and offered me therapy. And there wasn't social media that blew up our attack, big as this is. So people are experiencing more concern. So I just moved on with my life, whether that's good or bad. And I became a strong person, and I chose to help people and serve. Now, re-experiencing this 30 years later, sure, there's a lot of pain. And I realized, wow, I wish I had processed it sooner, because I can connect the dots a little bit to things in my life that have occurred, probably because this was unprocessed. And that's how it works. So I encourage them to do the work, heal, take time, write, meditate, process this experience, make sense of it somehow emotionally and mentally, so that you can continue being a shining light in this life and honor your friends and help other people, because you have a reference point that most people will never have.
Alanna, I only have 5 seconds left, but I just want to ask if you're going to make an effort to reach out to them at some point down the road when they're able to speak, to help them process, being that you've been through this.
I have sent a message so they have my contact. If they need anything, I'm absolutely here, however I can help.
Well, I'm so thankful that you shared this tonight, and so clearly, you're a remarkable woman. Thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.